6/20/6/24. It is 1 o'clock. We have notices of the public meeting and agenda have been posted. Public viewing and participation have been noted. And meeting guidelines have been outlined on our document and the agenda. So we're calling it to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Brown,
Here.
Vice Chair Hughes, absent. Secretary Treasurer Good,
Present.
Member Armstrong, absent. Member Palguda,
I'm here.
Member Elters.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Can I have Pledge of Allegiance? Bill, you want to lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, nation under God, liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Title IV policy is noted. Follow the public, number 5. This item is to provide an opportunity for presentation of comments by the public on any relevant issue within CYMPO's jurisdiction, not on the agenda. Please complete a request for public input card and submit it to the CYMPO staff prior to the beginning of the meeting. When recognized, use the podium microphone and state your name. Speaker's time may be limited to discretion of the chair, usually 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Executive board members shall not discuss or take action on matters raised during the call to the public. The board may direct staff to study the matter or direct that matter to be rescheduled for consideration at a later date. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak from the public? I see none. Anybody from the electronic world?
Chair, can I do a quick microphone check?
Sure.
Okay.
They're all working?
Maybe.
Okay.
All right.
We've had this problem several board meetings in a row where mics are not working right. Okay, so we'll move on from call to the public. Number 6, consideration possible action to approve the May 22nd, 24 regular meeting minutes of the executive board. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mayor Palguda. Any second?
Well, I have a comment, Chairman. On item 14, it said.
Let me get a second in here for, I'll second it. Now we go to discussion. Okay, number 14.
Your microphone on? Testing.
It says the motion was passed 3-4. So shouldn't that be 4-3? Under items 14. March 27th meeting.
I believe the secretary treasurer is correct. It should be 4-3. Or 4, I'm sorry, it should be 4-1. Thank you. Yes, thank you. It was 4-1.
Yeah, because we weren't all here that day.
Yep. Thank you for that clarification. You are correct. 4-1.
Thank you. Okay. So with that one modification from the motion, which is okay with you, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
And with me, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's passed. I'm thinking on something. Okay. Okay. Okay, executive director's update.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to start by welcoming new CYMPO executive board member, Sam Elters. He is replacing Gary Knight, which are some very big shoes to fill. Gary's been on the CYMPO board, as we talked about, for over the last 6 years. And then he had his sudden passing recently. We are really getting a true veteran in transportation. Sam is currently the Mojave County County Manager. I'd like to give Sam a moment just to introduce yourself. I know we have an item at the end of the agenda, Sam, but if you wanted to introduce yourself to the CYMPO board and the public, that would be great.
Thank you, Vinny, and Mr. Chairman and board members, good afternoon. As Vinny pointed out, my name is Sam Elters. I was just appointed and confirmed to the State Transportation Board. I been in Arizona most of, if not all, my adult life, and I'm a civil engineer. Transportation has been my career and life. I spent 13 years with Mojave County running the engineering department, moved on to ADOT, was the district engineer for the Kingman District, became state engineer and served for several years, moved out of state, was the chief engineer for the toll roads in Southern California, returned to Arizona, spent 8 years in the private sector, working on transportation. I'm back at Mojave County as the county manager, so this is just another hat that I'm wearing. I can honestly tell you I do know a few things about the state transportation system, having served as a state engineer. I'm honored and happy to serve on the State Transportation Board. It's sort of my second time around. I was appointed by Governor Ducey to the State Transportation Board to represent Maricopa County, the west side of it. I served for 3 years before I left Maricopa, returned to Mojave, and they did not like the idea of me representing Maricopa while I was living in Mojave County, so I had to resign. Here I am. Look forward to working with you. I take this commitment to heart. I wanted to be here in person today and meet you. I will attend as many meetings as I can of your meetings. Some may be virtual, but I'll do my best to attend in person. I look forward to advancing the transportation needs of all of District 6, which, as you know, encompasses 4 counties. That's Yuma, La Paz, Yavapai, and Mojave. I did work with former member Gary Knight for 3 years while I was representing Maricopa and he was representing District 6. I have nothing but respect for him. I know the shoes that I'm stepping in, and may he rest in peace. Thank you, Vinny, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to say a few words.
Terrific. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you. And I know you'll make us aware of address, phone numbers, and contact information for us.
Yes, sir. We'll provide that to you. And again, thank you for joining us, Sam. Moving on from that, just one other update I have is on the Rural Transportation Summit. So we're now 4 months away. Really want to applaud the work of CYMPO staff for having full plates in their current roles, and then they are playing host as event host for this. It's a huge undertaking, but I also want to extend incredible gratitude to this board and the staff that you have. You know, the city of Prescott we met with recently, we've met with the town of Prescott Valley, and, you know, from the chambers to economic development to everybody is really supportive of this. I think everyone realizes what a great opportunity to have 400 people, a statewide conference here in Prescott, up at the resort, the value of it. What I'd like to do at this moment is identify, this is a real benchmark. Even though registration has only been open for a short time, we already have 10 of our state legislators committed to it. And we have our District 1 representatives committed. So Senator Bennett, Representatives Wynn and Bliss have already scheduled their time to be with us. But we also have from the Transportation Committee in District 2, Representative Wilmeth. From District 6 up in Northeast Arizona, also a Transportation Committee board member, Senator Hatherley. We have Representative David Cook, who is the chairman of the Transportation Committee in the House, has committed to join us. Representative Patricia Contreras, who also sits on the Transportation Committee, represents the Southeast Valley in Phoenix. She's agreed to join us. District 15 Representative Neil Carter, who also sits on the Transportation Committee, has confirmed his attendance. Senator David Gowan, who's down in the Sierra Vista area, will be attending. Senator Frank Carroll, who's the vice chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee, has agreed to join, and the chairman of the Appropriations Committee, Representative David Livingston. Thank you for letting me read those names, because that's really the heart of our program is how do you as local legislators work with our state legislators to come up with a transportation agenda. And I am incredibly proud that just early on that already 10 very key state legislators have committed to that. We have a roster already of many mayors, council members, board of supervisors throughout Arizona that are dedicating their time to be a part of this program. Again, a reminder to anyone listening, this is October 16th through the 18th. We're expecting around 400 to attend. It's at that time that we'll work to come up with our legislative agenda for Arizona, for rural Arizona.
We also have new development updates that have been fed to the plan because a number of new developments have been initiated since this plan started. A few of them I'll rattle off. The convenience store that's just south of Lowe's, in between Lowe's and the U-Haul. Old hotel project at Old Black Canyon Highway and SR 69. The multifamily development across from Costco that is proposed. Redevelopment projects at Pine Ridge Marketplace are plentiful. There are going to be many new hotel units and multifamily units coming forward in that area. And then there's also a senior living complex going in at SR 69 in Mendocino in the town of Prescott Valley. So they'll be adjusting the modeling to accommodate those additional numbers that will be generated when those projects are completed. And that is the end of the 69 quarter master plan update. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions, Cal? Yeah? Yeah? No? Okay. Well, thank you.
Item 15, would you like to hear that one now? That was the other.
The 25 Regional Transportation Plan, the RTIP.
Yes. So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, as you are aware, in adjusting the boundary of the CYMPO planning area, our RTP consultant, Kimley Horn, was also involved in that process. In light of that, and in light of the RTP needing to accommodate that additional geographical area and population, we have sought an adjustment to the scope of work for the long-range transportation plan in order to include all of the additional area. So as you're aware, you have all voted on the boundary mapping, and I'll pull that up now.
This will fulfill the need for us for justification of the expansion of the federal government.
This actually will just enhance the scope of work for our long-range transportation plan to take in all of, per that map, the base area and A and B, which is what the board voted to expand the CYMPO planning area to. So the difference in cost is expressed in your backup in the agenda packet. I think we landed on, it's about a $70,000 additional update to the scope of work and to the contract itself, and that we're seeking an approval of those funds to be expended to enhance the RTP and include all the area.
Any other questions on the plan going forward? I don't see any. All right.
Mr. Chair, can I offer just a clarification?
Sure.
The action that you'll be taking, it's covered under item 10. So everything Bryn covered is what's being asked. But your action in the item in the packet is item 10. And that's what Bryn just referenced. I just want to be clear. So
10 and 15 go hand in hand.
they do go hand in hand, but your action item is on item number 10, if that's okay.
Thank you, Benny.
You're welcome.
Okay, then we need a motion to approve the modification of the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan scope of work. Next time, let's have these together on the agenda instead of separated this way.
You bet.
Okay, so I'll make that motion. I need a second.
Second.
Mayor Palaguda has seconded that. Any more discussion? See any all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Brad. Be careful.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it.
Item number 11, review, discussion, and possible action to approve the amendment of the fiscal year 22-26 Metropolitan. How did we do that? Oh, we got to go back to it. Okay, take that back. Number 8, Rural Transportation Advocacy Council RTAC report.
Mr. Chair, Kevin is unable to attend. He has provided a written report. He will attend the next meeting. He sends his apologies. He's just not present at this time, sir.
Well, there's nothing we can ask him, so we'll go ahead and read this, but I want to bring it back up again and take a look at it at the next meeting, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, with that, review and discussion and possible action, approve the projects to be prioritized in the 2025 RTAC pursuit of state legislative funding. Same thing, next meeting.
Actually, sir, we need this item on this meeting if
Why?
Well, let me attempt to explain, Mr. Chair. So these are the projects that are being prepared to be presented at the Rural Transportation Summit.
And they're the same items that were prepared before, so I don't see why we need to go over them a third time for the third consecutive year.
We did make a modification for this year.
And what modification was that?
Can we pull it up on the screen, please? And it is in your packet. It is under item number 9. The modification that was made is there's additional funds as part of the statewide package. So the rural Arizona came together through RTAC and decided.
Where the money's coming from, but not the projects themselves?
So both, sir. The overall dollar amount has increased by 20%. So now for CYMPO, instead of the 33 million, it'll be 40 million. So that has changed since last year. The other proposed change is to add a design concept report for Highway 89 in the town of Chino Valley between 3 and 5 North. So what I brought to the technical committee and what I'm bringing to you this time is the construction of the roadway is still a priority to improve 89 between 3 and 5 North. But I thought it would be in our best interest, if the dollars aren't there, that we could still ask the state to help us with the design concept of the road. So we did add a very minor project, but that minor project could translate into the ultimate construction. So we did add a project in there for $270,000, which will allow us to get a better price estimate on Highway 89 in Chino Valley between 3 and 5 North. So that is an additional new project. With that said, happy to answer any questions or comments, but it is needed in order to put together the packet for the summit in October. It's going to take several months of putting that together for the state legislature. So we're trying to meet deadlines with the rest of rural Arizona. So that's why, if possible, I would need your action today.
Chair, if I may.
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, sir, in light of the changes, I do believe we need to get a motion on this.
I agree.
I would like to ask Vinnie, by adding that project number 1 for 270,000, how did that improve project number 2?
It improves it because at this time, Mr. Chair, Member Good, Mayor Good, we don't have a really good cost estimate on that project. We've been working with ADOT to get an estimate, but it's a rough estimate on project number 2. And I think my concern for you as a region, as a board, is we need to be able to drill down on a more accurate cost of that project. We've been estimating in a lot of verbal discussions the cost of that, but I think that DCR, Design Concept Report, Mayor, will get you a much more accurate cost of that project. We hope number 2 is where it needs to be, but we all know the cost of things is changing pretty radically. So number 1 will get you a better cost for number 2.
Well, I certainly can't disagree with that. We just approved a project in the city of Prescott where the engineer's estimate was around $3.5 million, and we had 5 bids, all of which were well above 5. So we are seeing a pretty dramatic continuing escalation of construction costs, and I think you're right on point here to be able to add this small increase to be able to have a more accurate estimate and more likely to get it funded.
Thank you, sir. I agree.
Mr. Chairman.
Stan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may just jump in on this. It is fairly common if the project size is larger than what can be achieved in one project to do a design concept report and lay it out. What you get out of that is 2 primary components. One is the estimate, as you've already stated. The other would be an implementation plan if you need more than one phase to implement a larger project that require more funding than is available at hand. So I would support the motion to include the design concept report at 270.
Kel?
I have nothing else to add, sir, other than I'll make a motion.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just make a motion to approve modifying, I'm sorry, am I on number 9? Make a motion to approve the 2025 CYMPO RTAC priority projects as presented and discussed.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mayor Good. All in favor?
Aye.
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 We're at number 11, I believe. Review, discussion, and possible action to approve the amendment of the fiscal year 22-26 Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program, the MTIP, and amend the fiscal year 24-25 Unified Planning Work Program, the UPWIP. So, number 11, Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Allison McCarthy, Administrative Assistant with CYMPO. This is our final amendment of the fiscal year. I'll go ahead and bring up, this is kind of an at a glance. I know it's small, but just kind of gives you a general idea of some changes that we're making. Essentially, what we're doing is closing out the fiscal year. So making sure that we're reconciled with ADOT and able to capture all of our fiscal year 24 funds and move those into fiscal year 25. So that's here, and in your packets, you have all of those step-by-step changes that we're making. And then essentially we're making those same changes to our TIP, reflecting that here you see the yellow highlights. And in addition, this is the transit section of our TIP. We are including the 5310, 5311 awards that were awarded to the human service providers within the CYMPO region. As the designated MPO, we're required to report this in our TIP on an annual basis. And lastly, this is the spreadsheet that you all just reviewed and approved. That is going to also be included in our TIP as well. That's kind of a general overview of the amendment, but happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Is there anything we want to change in regards to this? I don't see anything changes that need to be made. Any comments, Benny?
No, sir.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the amending fiscal year 24-25 Unified Plan Work Program and the fiscal year 22-26 Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Plan as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Palguda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Title 6 presentation. Desi.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. It is really exciting to see you guys from this perspective and not up on the dais. As you're aware, we are mandated to provide a training to all of you regarding Title VI every year. So that's what we will go through right now. It is information that you're relatively familiar with, but I'm here to answer any questions as we go through it. So CYMPO is committed to ensuring that no person is discriminated against on the grounds of race, color, national origin, or limited English proficiency. These are the items that cover that particular information within federal law. So I won't bore you by going through all of those, but again, like the Civil Rights Act and such things. CYMPO's commitment is to provide meaningful and inclusive public involvement opportunities regardless of race, color, or national origin. CYMPO will make every effort to provide assistance to those with limited English proficiency. And CYMPO will continually look for ways to expand and improve public involvement methods. Formal complaints related to the Title VI provisions and violations can be made in writing or by submitting the complaint form that is available on the CYMPO website that was recently updated for the current fiscal year as well. Environmental justice is a component that is important in Title VI. Each federal agency shall make achieving environmental justice part of its mission, by identifying and addressing as appropriate disproportionately high and adverse human health or environmental effects of its programs, policies, and activities on minority populations and low-income populations. CYMPO will make every effort to ensure transportation investments do not disproportionately burden any population with adverse impacts. And CYMPO will make every effort to arrange for reasonable accessibility to public meetings for any wishing to participate in the transportation planning process. So limited English proficiency describes individuals who speak English less than very well. According to the 2020 census, 3.6% of the CYMPO population are limited English proficient. And CYMPO is committed to making every effort to providing interpreters and document translation where feasible upon reasonable advance notice. Public involvement, again, is an important component. This provides opportunity for the public to be involved in all phases of the planning process by providing complete information, timely public notice, opportunities for making comments, full access to key decisions, and early and continuing involvement in developing transportation plans and programs. The goals that we have in mind are creating responsibility and ownership for regional transportation congestion problems and shared sense of pride in the development of solutions to those problems. Providing information and gathering input so that decision makers will be able to make informed decisions. So then finally, public comments can be made to the CYMPO office by calling our office at 928-442-5730. There is a contact us section of the CYMPO website that individuals can submit comments to as well, or they can send written comments to our physical address at 1971 Commerce Center Circle, Suite E in Prescott, 86301. And again, there is a complaint form that is available on our website that is required by Title VI, so that is available for the public as well. So that concludes the training. I would be happy to entertain any questions that the board may have.
Does anybody on the board have any questions in regards to this? It's kind of a standard action, so comply with federal statutes.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you, sir.
Vinny, any other things we should know about changing on here?
No, sir, but it is an action item. Is it the next one? Sorry, the next one's an action.
We have to do this once a year anyway.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah, it is standard. No comments. The next item, though, will be to actually approve the document itself.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, would you like the document on the screen?
I would go ahead and move to approve it. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Palgudo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have anybody in the office that speaks Spanish, Vinny?
Yes, sir, we do. Miss Leslie Contreras does.
Okay. Right.
I took 4 years of Spanish. I'm Mexican on both sides of my family, but I would defer to Leslie. I don't do all that well.
Okay. Mr. Lamar, transit update. The microphone got a green light.
Now it does. Thank you. It's not the right one. A little bit of a delay, excuse me. There we go. I'm going to provide some general information about the status and the service delivery of the Yabeline transit system. First, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about some early results in Prescott, and then spend about the same amount of time talking about an analysis of the system-wide ridership and trip purposes. This is Prescott-specific data for the first 11 weeks of service. The only caveat to that is the cost per ride. The cost per ride is, did it go out again? The cost per ride is for the system-wide for the last quarter. It's not Prescott specific because we haven't broken it down that way yet. So for the first 11 weeks of service, we've had about 1,200 completed rides. Just like the service provision in Prescott Valley, the average rider experience is 4.9 out of 5. On-time performance, in and out. Yeah. Okay. Is that there? No. Okay, I'll just keep talking. Hey, look at that. That's going to go. The estimated ETA, or estimated time of arrival, is within 11.3 minutes from the time the would-be rider has put into the system or called for the ride. Shared rides are a little over 26%. We'd like to see that number get higher. That way you have multiple riders on the same vehicle. And one interesting statistic is the trip requests by mobile app are more than half of the requests at 57%. Again, this is Prescott specific data. These are the leading destinations. Yeah.
That on the very end where it says trip requests by mobile app, how many of those, that 57%, how many are actually come true? We actually do deliver the service to them.
The cancellation rate on this is actually successful trips. The cancellation rate would come off of that number, or not off of that number, but be a separate number.
Number in front of it? Okay.
Again, these are the leading destinations. Leading the way is the VA and the supporting VA offices, followed by a couple of our larger retail places, Safeway and the Walmart, and obviously the Courthouse Plaza. This is an interesting comparison and contrast of Prescott Valley year 1, Prescott Valley year 2, and the first 11 weeks of Prescott. I think the most encouraging statistic to take away from this is the combined user or ridership, conservatively assuming that existing ridership in each jurisdiction flatlines, which it hasn't. As you guys could go look at this map, it's gone up. You're looking at, for year 1 of the combined system, over 50,000 rides, which I think is fairly significant. And again, this is a compare and contrast of the two jurisdictions' trip purposes. You can see that employment is about 20% of the trip purposes in Prescott and 37% in Prescott Valley. What I think is staggering in so many respects is in every category that's named, you can see an economic impact by getting people to shopping centers, to work, to our recreational amenities, or going to school. So you can see that there is a dramatic economic impact in a number of sectors in our community. And that's it. You guys have any questions?
Bill, you have any questions?
No, I'd still like to see that average cost per ride come down, and I'm sure it will as you continue to build ridership.
We're going to work on that. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, I think what it accounts for is you need more people going to the same place.
Yeah.
So there would be better chance of having ridership. This doesn't take in the Apache Nation, does it?
No, it doesn't. We're hoping to have the ability to link up with the Apache Nation in a downtown Prescott location in the next month or two. And my understanding is that the Yavapai Apache Nation's ridership has been pretty significant. At some point, we can get some data, if you'd like, regarding what they're experiencing, if that'd be
I think
valuable.
that would be helpful so that we know what to expect, especially if they're going to start bringing a lot more people over to the VA on this side of the hill. So
Yep.
Major issue, maybe even employment, but I doubt it, but we'll see. So, and we're still in negotiations or discussing this with YRT.
We are. We're having a lot of good dialogue with YRT.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, move on to project updates. Oh, she already gave that. I'm sorry. 16, move on to ADOT Northwest District Report. Andy.
Afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Andy Roth, Assistant Northwest District Engineer. And for project updates for us, actually one of the information that'll probably overlap, Sam, yours, is that the tentative 2025 through 2029 5-year construction plan was approved at the State Transportation Board meeting on 6/21. So I don't think Board Member Elters, you have anything to add to that?
Mr. Chairman, Andy, I was going to offer a couple of comments. I will include, please proceed.
For projects in construction, the I-17 at State Route 169 TI Underpass deck replacement project. The approach slab work is ongoing. Actually, they should be finished up placing the concrete on those approach slabs this week, and then hopefully moving into the final paving on that project. State Route 89, milepost 339 to I-40, Paulden to Ash Fork, the centerline rumble strip project, complete. The I-40 Ash Fork Creek Bridges project, scour retrofits, working on the outlet at the Lewis Avenue box culvert structure right now. 169 Grant Woods Parkway to I-17, centerline rumble strip. Work started the night of June 23rd on that project and should be complete here actually fairly shortly. State Route 69 Prescott Lakes Parkway to Heather Heights project. Our partnering meeting with the contractor is scheduled for this Friday. And Board Member Good, we do anticipate not starting that till after the 4th of July holiday.
Good plan, Andy.
So we'll thank Fan Contracting for that. Old Highway 66 at Fort Rock Road, eastbound and westbound turn lanes. Our partnering meeting is scheduled for, or was conducted on 6/19. Contractor is waiting for their railroad permit to start work, but they anticipate starting on the week of July 8th on that project. And then for the I-17 Anthem Way to Sunset Point Flex Lane project, as always, go to the project website for most of the updates. One thing I can say is that schedule-wise, we're anticipating, the contractor is anticipating being complete in about another year on that. So we still have another year of work. For the projects in design, State Route 89 at Little Ranch Road, the left turn lane project. That project went to bid advertisement. Bid opening should be August 23rd. State Route 89 from milepost 331 to 335. That's Road 5 North to the Depot 89 at Old 89. That project, centerline and edgeline rubble strips. That project is also advertised for bid with an opening date of August 23rd as well. And then an update on your for the next project. State Spur 89A, Fane Road, Robert Road to Lynx Creek Bridge, AC spot repairs and microsurface. That project was advertised for bid actually Monday with a bid opening of August 2nd. The State Route 89 at 89A TI on-ramp project. They are still working on stage 4, 95% design. Anticipate completing that and basically shelf ready by the end of the fiscal year for that. And Vinny will still wait for construction funding for that one. State Route 69 at State Route 169 roundabout. Again, working on stage 4.
We all thought that this was going to be about $1 million, maybe $2 million project. Now it's turned into at least 10. So this is getting outrageous. You know, this is the same thing that happened in the city of Prescott with 69, you know, and an expansion of lanes on that. You know, we're pricing ourselves out of the game by waiting so long on getting these projects moving forward. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but still, it's just, I don't know. somebody out down there in that Phoenix legislature's got to start paying attention. And nothing going forward this year just puts us behind even more next year. And inflation's eating up every dime we can get.
And we are experiencing that on all levels of our projects.
I'm just frustrated, so. Thank you, Andy.
Welcome. But the working on the stage 4 design for that 69 at 169 roundabout, and again, that one waiting for, I believe, did we get that into the budget?
We did actually. So that's some positive news, Andy. So, this one before the budget went back and forth. This is State Route 69, 169 roundabout. The governor had issued a note before the budget of removing $200,000 of a $9 million project, which we didn't fight her on it. And then in the end, the final budget actually increased the project by $939,000. So it was good because we feel we're pretty close. We're pretty tight. We've been making adjustments to the project.
Wait a minute, let me see if I understand this. It started out at one amount and then went up $1 million, even though they took away 200,000 to begin with?
Yes, sir. Their initial proposal was to remove $200,000 from a $9 million project. And in the end, they surprised us like Christmas and they gave us $939,000 to the project. So went from a negative to a positive. So go figure. But these all sound like good topics for the Rural Summit.
I don't want to point out their mistakes. Go ahead, Randy, I'm sorry.
No. Oh, the next project, I-17, Sunset Point to I-40. This is an Intelligent Transportation Systems project, an ITS project, for installing wrong-way detection, closed-circuit TV cameras, a dynamic message sign, and a road weather information system. That project is anticipated to go to bid advertisement second quarter of fiscal year 25. State Route 69, Lee Boulevard to Walker Road, the third lane extension and raised median project, HSIP project. Anticipate bid advertisement third quarter of fiscal year 25 for that project. And then finally, the I-17 and I-40 truck parking statewide project. Multiple rest area sites, including I-17 Sunset Point rest area. That's a P3 design build project. And that's who's my update.
On number 6, I got a question. Is there a possibility that somebody could show us how this wrong way driver equipment's going to work so that we're familiar with it and what it looks like, since we don't use this type of equipment much in this county?
I will see what I can, some information over to you.
Right. Vinny?
Yes.
Note that, please.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Kel?
No, sir.
Sam?
I was just wondering, Andy, with the National Electric Vehicle Initiative, including I-17 and I-40, it seems like if you're doing a lot of work on the rest area up there on Sunset Point, that would be an ideal spot for putting in a fast charger. Of course, you already have the commercial one down there with the Love's facility.
Portis?
We're supposed to have them every 40 miles, I believe.
I do know that ADOT does have an electric vehicle plan out there. I can look at that up and try to get you some information on the website and that plan, but I don't, I'm not involved too much in that arena.
Probably too close to 17 and 69.
I don't know. What do they use for a diameter or 200 miles or something like that, I would assume?
You don't,
That I know.
I don't think they go.
I believe the plan was was for every 50 miles for those charging stations.
another one until you get all the way up to Flagstaff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
See how that develops. That's it.
All right. Sam, you have anything you want to tell us about your board meetings?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. I'm once again happy to be here and participate. It's nice to see everybody in the audience. Special hello to Andy. Thank you for the report. For the record, I worked with Andy years ago when I was at ADOT. And also special greeting to my colleague and dear friend, Yavapai County Manager Maury Thompson. Mr. Chairman and board members, the State Transportation Board, as you heard from Andy, approved the 5-year construction program last Friday in Flagstaff. District 6 is faring really well. District 6 over the 5-year period, 2025 through 2029, will receive in excess of $900 million. That is more than any other of the 6 districts. And I think it can easily be attributed to the fact that District 6 is a large district and has a lot of need and has had a lot of needs over the years. That includes both system preservation, that means road and bridges, as well as new construction projects. We did have a healthy discussion related to funding, and we felt as a board that we needed to have an ongoing discussion for the board to be informed and the public to be informed. It really is more of an education than anything else. I think the general consensus were that the State Transportation Board understands its job is limited as far as advocating, but it is to allocating the funding that is available for transportation. And the State Transportation Board is grateful for the infusion of one-time funding, but that is not the most appropriate solution for our transportation revenue needs. We need an ongoing program and revenue stream that planners and engineers and the communities can rely on and plan for. As you know, it takes multiple years, on an average of 10 to 15 years, to plan, design, and deliver a project. So I will end with, it's been a few years since I was state engineer. We had our priorities and vision for the state transportation system mapped out then. Things have changed. Some projects have been delivered, some are ongoing. For example, corridors such as SR 69 or SR 95 or US 93, those have been under improvements for quite a few years. There was a vision for them when we started, and there's been a lot of improvements on these corridors, but the status has changed. So just for your information, I have requested a meeting with ADOT leadership to sit down with them and, at least for District 6, understand the status of these projects, the vision for these projects, and those that have been under construction, when they anticipate completion, what's coming up next. So I would understand where to place my focus and priorities. So that, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
Do
I'm
you
just
think they're
getting
gonna
back
go
on this
forward?
kind of thing.
Are they going to go forward with 93, 95 turning into Highway 11 going north? That's what the projection was going to be between at least between here and Las Vegas.
Mr. Chairman and board members, the designation of I-11, future I-11 for US 93 is in place, as you know, from Wickenburg all the way across the state line into Nevada. So it's really, there are two folds on that. US 93, while has seen significant improvements over the years to a 4-lane divided highway, isn't quite there yet. There are a few more segments, particularly in Yavapai County on the southern end of the corridor north of Wickenburg, that have yet to be completed to 4-lane, along with the improvements through the town of Wickiup and then the connection of US 93 and I-40. And then once you do those, then the conversion from a US highway to an interstate level, Mr. Chairman, as you know, access control is a must to convert into an interstate system. That will cost a large sum of money. It's premature to say, but I would say it would be in the B's, not the M's. It would be more than $1 billion as opposed to millions. And I don't think the department has yet figured out how they're going to get there. But that is indeed part of my plan of sitting down with them and asking what the strategy is, because the State Transportation Board is also responsible for developing a long-range 20-year plan, Mr. Chairman, and sending it to the governor. And I think they just did one, and then one won't be long down the road. So it's important that we understand those priorities.
Well, one of the things that we've always, discussed this, and that's one of the reasons we changed our boundaries, our requested boundaries, to include that area, from Wickenburg going up through Wickiup, because we think we should have some kind of, discussion in regards to participation and what the plans are going forward into the future. And obviously it's going to be a big project, but we've been talking about it now for, at least 10, 15 years, especially down as it approaches Nogales and those areas down there at the border.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm with you. I will tell you, I know there is a missing link still on the western side of Maricopa County. The studies are in place, and then down south. And as far as US 93, I was the 93 corridor engineer for several years, from 1999 on through, as I served as state engineer. So I'm with you. We have to stay the course on US 93 to complete it, the 4-lane divided highway, to eliminate the head-on collisions, and then look at converting it to an interstate. So it's really near and dear to my heart. Spent a lot of years on that corridor.
That area on 93 is getting to really be bad. I mean, we've had a lot of fatal collisions on that, just here in the recent past. And one of the other problems is that there's not really medical facilities to handle any kind of injuries that may occur in those types of head-on collisions. And besides that, usually they involve trucks, and many of the trucks are carrying other types of materials that we don't want to necessarily deal with. And this most recent one was copper sulfate, which nobody knew it was copper sulfate until long into the firefighting efforts. So anyway, just things that pop up in our rural areas.
Understand.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Vinny? Bill?
Well, I may want to mention the fact that I'm on the Arizona League's Transportation, Infrastructure, and Public Works Committee. And I proposed to that committee several months ago my concerns about the impact of the growing number of electric vehicles throughout the state. Currently, we have between 75 and 80,000 registered electric vehicles by residents in the state of Arizona. Each one of those vehicles on average, an average sedan weighs about 750 pounds more than a gas-powered sedan. And now that we're starting to see some of these semis that are all electric, they weigh 4,500 pounds more than a diesel semi. So you can imagine the disproportionate amount of impact that those electric vehicles have on our road network. But without having them pay any type of a fee or a revenue source to be able to make up for their impact on the roads. So I propose that we have a user fee for electric vehicles that use these fast charging stations that are being proposed by the federal government every 50 miles, as Andy mentioned, that they pay between 2 and 3 cents per kilowatt hour to recharge their vehicles. Because we've already seen that there's a lot of range anxiety. People who live down in Phoenix don't want to risk going to Flagstaff, much less going to Grand Canyon or any of the tribal areas that have Monument Valley and Canyon de Chelly. If they can't get there, they're not going to visit and they're not going to help with those economic expectations that the tribes and other places have for not only residents, but think about tourists. If tourists want to use an electric vehicle to come and visit any of those areas, they're not going to come because they can't recharge their vehicle and get home.
What happens if the battery goes dead or they have to have it replaced? Or is there some place they can go to have them replaced?
Well, there's quite a growing number of tow truck operators in Flagstaff that are looking forward to towing them into Flagstaff and getting them recharged. But the point is that by having this user fee, then those revenue funds can go to the local jurisdiction, whether it's a municipality or a county, to be able to compensate for the reduced number of dollars coming through her funds. Because we haven't increased the gas tax in, I think, 35, 40 years, still 19 cents a gallon. As more and more vehicles that are either hybrid or the efficiency of those vehicles means that they buy less gas, then there's less HER funds and less funds to be able to maintain our road system. So let's find a way. I know Representative Cook tried to get another bill through the legislature about increasing the registration fees. But that really doesn't pay for the impact in local areas on the deteriorating road conditions.
Oh, and we only receive a share of it, so.
So I figured this is a good way for the electric vehicle owners to pay a fair share since they have a disproportionate impact and then be able to deliver those funds to the local jurisdiction that's responsible for maintaining those roads. So the committee voted to support that, and the league is working on the details to flesh it out so we can bring it to the legislature next year and see if we can move this forward. I know the federal government, their National Electric Vehicle Initiative program that was passed in November of 2021 with the expectation that within 5 years they'd have 500,000 charging ports. Now, the average fast vehicle charging station will have anywhere from 6 to 8 ports. So you're still talking about 60,000 fast charging stations being created. So here it is from November of 21 until today. How many stations have been built? 7. 7 stations. So obviously there's more and more electric vehicles and no place for them to charge up. So it's going to have a big impact on our rural areas where we want to have tourists come and visit, spend their money, and increase the economic viability. But if they can't get there, they're not coming. So here's a way to support their impact and also be able to support more of these fast charging stations to be located. Tesla was originally looking for boats on about 5 different fast charging stations in northern Arizona. Prescott was one of them. I think Munns Park was another one. I think there was one up in Williams. But they just decided to eliminate their program. So they're not going to build additional charging stations that they were originally planning on. And of course, I think you know that Tesla has decided to open up their ports to non-Tesla vehicles. So the point is that this whole area is kind of in a real flux situation. But I think trying to make some incremental improvements in this area would help with the number of vehicles that are on the road and also be able to increase funding for transportation and road maintenance.
Well, and in talking to him in regards to reclamation, that's one of the things I'm worried about is that these batteries, when they go bad or they have to be replaced, where do we go to deposit the old one when we're buying the new one?
Well, those are kind of hazardous materials at that point, and I think they're going to put them in the same place where they're going to put all these solar cells.
Right.
Which is an unknown location. But we'll see how those things develop, but I think there's a way to at least start to address some of the concerns in a legitimate way.
Thanks for updating us. I appreciate it. Kel, anything?
No, sir.
Okay, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pleasure to be here.